Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the LooseCollector Legacy Series CHAOTICA from Coffin Comics. And I'm just going to put this out there. I have to put two things out there. One, they sent me this as a review sample. They asked if I wanted to review some things. I was like, hey, LooseCollector team, okay, sure. I'll review whatever you want to send, as long as I think it'll be helpful to my audience. And so that's why this is here. But I'm still going to give you guys the complete review as I always would. I don't care who sends me free stuff. I'm going to give a good review, and if they don't like that, that's on them. I don't think that's going to be the case with these guys, but just have to put that out there. And then the other thing I have to put out there is, I thought this character was just like a knockoff Emma Frost. I didn't realize it was a real character from a real thing, so there's that. But I'm guessing a lot of you are considering something like this for a replacement of Emma Frost in your Marvel Legends collection. I'm guessing, that's why I thought this one would be a good one to review, but it is a real character, it turns out. I had no idea. Maybe it's whatever. Okay, you can tell by the design it's probably not a little bit more mainstream, but anyway, it might be something you're interested in, so I'm going to review it. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. Okay, before we look at the figure, I do want to show you my package. It almost looks kind of retro, the way they have just the flat, no shading, no nothing kind of imagery. It looks like a window to me, or a doorway, but whatever, it looks very 80s-ish to me. I don't know if that's intentional. There's some artwork on the side. Character and figure are close enough, I suppose. It's pretty stylized, so there's some leeway there. These guys are all available also, or at least will be, it looks like to me, as figures. And then there's another photo there. And I'll put this out there. It's available for pre-order on Big Bad Toy Store right now. There's a link in the description below if you want to get this one. It's on pre-order. There are other ones that are already released. These things are hefty prices, though. I think it's $70. So for $70, it's gonna get a real review, because $70 is no small amount of money for a 6-inch figure. So that's what we're gonna do, as we always would. Alright, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into it. This figure stands just shy of 17 centimeters. That's gonna be just about we'll call it 6 5/8 inches, give or take. Here she is up against Darwin. She's kind of big, so it looks like it's not going to fit in with your Marvel Legends. I believe there's supposed to be 1/12 scale. I'm pretty sure. Hold on. Yeah, the Big Bad Toy Store listing says 1/12 scale. I wouldn't say it's probably big enough for 7-inch. Let's see. There's a smaller McFarlane Batman. She's pretty close to fitting in with him, I guess. And then here she is with a Marvel Select cap. Yeah, honestly, I think it's 7-inch scale. It's not supposed to be, as far as the listing says. But apparently it is. Okay, well that's something I hadn't realized. Okay, she's kind of big. Alright, so let's do a quick question of the day. Are you guys interested in this sort of thing? Are you going to add it to your Marvel Legends collections? Or is it too big? Or is it just because it's an actual character you don't want to? Or is it just too fan servicey? Is this the kind of thing you're interested in if you're collecting Marvel Legends, or just in general? Or do you have to actually know this character to be interested? Okay, that's the question. For me, I don't know the character. I thought it was just like a sexy Emma Frost, and I'm like, yeah, it's not really for me. I don't need that. But here it is, so we're going to review it. All right, let's start with the aesthetic. I have to say the finish quality is pretty darn good overall. There are some things that I'm going to have to point out, but it does have a lot of paint on it. The white parts are various levels of like a pearly white mixed with some like light blue shading, and it's all pretty well done. It's pretty clean. The little detail parts are painted nicely. The skin tone has shading throughout, and it generally looks pretty good, but some parts don't match at all. It looks better in person than it does on camera, but these arm parts that are painted at the top of the bicep, they don't match the shoulders very well. The hands, or the fingers, are closer to the arm parts rather than the rest of the figure, and that's probably because this is bare PVC with some shading on it, and these are actually painted, but I think they missed the mark. It looks slightly better in person, but that's not great. On the back you can see more shading, but yeah, you can really see the color problem. And then same thing up here. If you lean the torso back, you can see the painted part in there. I'm assuming that's supposed to be skin. That should be skin, I'm guessing, in there, and it's very yellow. So that's a bit of an issue. The paints on the face are really nice and clean, so that's good. The hair is bare PVC with some shading in it, so that's good. Good sculpt. The detail paintwork, again, it is clean. Mostly it's really clean, but that, like, the nails are done well too. But, man, my hands are dry. That skin problem, the skin not matching, is definitely a problem, especially at this price point. I'm sorry, LooseCollector guys. I understand your price points are where they need to be in order for you to be able to do it. I get that, but it still comes down to it's a really expensive figure for the customer. And I don't think most people are going to be okay with things like that, but who knows? You guys are up to decide that on your own. So yeah, okay, so otherwise, the sculpt work, it's obviously hyper voluptuous, I guess would be a good way of putting it. Her waist is super narrow, hips and bosoms are super big, and what's there is done really well, I would say, as far as the actual sculpt work. It is, like I said, very exaggerated, so if that's what you're into, that's your thing. This is probably for you. I will say, though, down here, it looks quite strange. I don't know why they made it the way they did, and I don't want to spend a lot of time here, but we have to review it, and it's a strange look, I think, to have the hard plastic skeleton in there visible, and then like a very squared off pelvis area is kind of weird. But otherwise, I would say it looks pretty good. So if you don't look at it like that, which I would hope that your plan isn't to do that, then you're probably going to be okay. To me, this is like a step too far, and Marvel Legends are a step not far enough. If somewhere right in the middle would be like the sweet spot, but I do believe the source material for this character probably leans a little bit towards the step too far thing, so it's not inaccurate, I would say, but for you those of you trying to fit this into Marvel Legends, it might be a consideration. So aesthetically speaking, it's well done mostly. The skin matching issue is a big problem. The joint issue in the crotch I don't care as much about because it's not that noticeable, but the skin's a problem, and at this price point, that's a big deal. The rest of it's really well done. So I want to say like 7. I'll balance it out at 7 out of 10. It looks good other than those issues that are very obvious. Okay, now as far as accessories go, you get an alternate hair piece, which I'll just show you in person. The hair just pops off. You don't have an alternate head. And this is done really well. They did a good job with the swappable hair. Being bare PVC, it's not going to scratch or anything, and it fits very nicely. So if you will want the flowy hair, you get that. No alternate face, you're just stuck with that slight smile. For hands, there's a good variety of hands for posing and gripping, so that's good. You do get the cloak that you saw in the beginning that just fits over the down hair. You get 2 of these little sides. Is the sickle the big one? I can never remember. Gosh, I can never remember. Either way, you get these little hooky blades, and then you get these things that go over her wrists that look kind of like swirly things. I don't know. And then you get this, which I guess is like a little display stand. I'm not sure. It's got 3 pegs, so it's kind of strange, and it says LooseCollector, but it's upside down. I don't know what that is. If anybody knows, you can... I just threw it off the table. You can let me know. But that's it for accessories. That's it. I mean, that's a fine spread, I guess. You get the cape, the hair, the accessories, the hands. That's fine. For $80, is it enough? I'd think an alternate head with a different expression would have been good. Make 2 heads and 2 hairs. That way you have 4 options. So I'm going to say 7 out of 10 for accessories. It's fine. What's there is well done, but probably lacking for the price point. And I understand, again, this is from the consumer perspective, because frankly, it doesn't matter what the company needs to do because it has to be worth it to the consumer. So, I mean, we all understand the smaller the run, the smaller the company, the higher the price point. That makes sense. But it has to be good for the end user. That's where I'm coming from. I'm here for you guys. I'm not here to justify prices, even though they are justifiable in a sense. Okay, so let's talk about articulation. We have a double ball peg for the neck, but the way it's done is, it's not good, frankly. It's very lollipop-ish, and the bottom peg doesn't really do much. So you're only mostly working with the top peg. You can force it to do a little bit, but not much, so you can get some subtle posing done, but just a little bit, way less than I would have expected. It ends up having that weird lollipop situation like Marvel Legends have, even though it has the double ball peg. So that's pretty unfortunate. For the shoulders, you're going to get your full rotation, of course, and then they're going to go out to the side to horizontal. That's fine. You do get your bicep swivel. That's good. Double jointed elbow, which is pinless for those of you who are all about that. Good range. I have to say I don't like the way they've done this, and it's basically what Hasbro does, which is to square off the elbow joint so that when it's straight, it doesn't look as bad. But I don't think it looks bad, frankly, when it's straight. And when it's bent, I don't like seeing this little flip of plastic there. I'd rather it just tuck in at the elbow. So you can kind of see right there that little chunk of plastic, trying to make it flush to the elbow. It doesn't honestly look, for me, it doesn't look better straight or bent. So I would rather they just do it the way Toy Biz used to do it, which is to round off the joints. But that's the way they've done it. Wrists have a swivel and a hinge. The gripping hands have vertical hinges, so that is a good thing. For the torso, you get at least a single ball peg. It feels like a single. It's right under the breasticles, and generally you want to have it under the rib cage. You can get better range out of it up here if you do it right, but you can get pretty good range under the rib cage, especially with this design. I would have liked to see the joint down here rather than up under the boobs, but let's see what kind of range we get. So leaning back, it goes a little bit past where you would have a gap, but we'll stop it at the gapping. So it leans back okay. It's not like super far or anything, but it's decent. Going forward, again, it's okay. It looks a little bit weird because it's right under the boobs, and so her rib cage isn't actually moving. And that's kind of, it makes it look strange when you pose it. Whereas if you do it down here, you get a little bit more of a natural flow to things. But let's see. Leaning to the side, pretty limited. So it doesn't have as much range as I would have expected. It's the only joint in the torso, and it's pretty basic. It's pretty limited. It is okay. That's all I can say about that. For the hips, going forward, it looks like they're cut well. Yeah, so she can kick forward just fine, just better than horizontal. That's good. Going out to the side, if they did it right, this will work. If they didn't, it won't. We'll see if they did a Hasbro or if they did something else. They did a pretty good. They did a pretty good. Yeah, that's probably all you really need. That's basically full-on splits. Takes a little bit of pushing, but I think you'll be okay with that. So that's pretty good range there. Going back, you don't get anything. There's too much cake. And we're not going to give a cake rating. This is not a McFarlane figure review. All right, you do get your boot, high boot swivel, your thigh swivel up there, so that's good. Double jointed knee. Good range, good proportioning, that's fine. And then for the ankles, they do go back and forward pretty well, and then you get an ankle rocker, but it's so steep due to the heels that it's almost worthless. So, articulation-wise, it's kind of like just a standard Marvel Legends, honestly. It works like the updated Marvel Legends with the double-jointed elbow. The diaphragm joint is still not particularly good. The double ball peg works like a Marvel Legends one in that it doesn't work very well. The rest of it works fine. So for this price point, I'm going to say the articulation's only going to get a 5 out of 10. I suspect, well, we'll see. I don't know. I hope they don't not want to send me more stuff because they have some really cool things like the werewolves and stuff, and I'm guessing those are going to be awesome. But I have to say, so far the review's over. At this price point, I'm not thrilled. So now it's time for the final verdict on this release. At first glance, it looks really, really good. There is a high quality of finish all the way around. But those mismatched arms are just definitely a problem for me. I don't care about the torso one so much, but the arms not matching, the closer you get to the figure, the weirder it looks. At a distance, it'll be fine. The rest of the figure looks really solid. It's a well-executed figure, but it's just, I don't think it's there for the price point, and that's just going to be hard for buyers to stomach. I get it. As somebody who designs figures, I understand why it's expensive. But as somebody who buys figures, it wouldn't be enough for me unless I was really into the character. It's good enough that I could justify it as a consumer. But as a reviewer, it's going to get a generous 7, maybe a 6. You guys can pick whichever one you like depending on what you're leaning on more for the review. There's enough good here that you could probably justify it if you really wanted it. But that's a hard pill to swallow at that price point. That's the best I can phrase it. It's a hard thing to do with something like this from an indie company. So hopefully they're not offended, but I have to shoot straight no matter what the situation is. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, but that's it for me. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos just about every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.